Hello and welcome back to Gilly Sports. Today we are going to be reviewing my predictions for the EFL last week and also talking about some of the other predictions uh, within the EFL. And we'll start off with my first prediction was that Wolves would beat Blackburn 5-0. And to say that didn't happen is a bit of a stretch, to be honest. I mean, both the games I predicted for the Championship were completely different to how I predicted them. As I say, what start with the Wolves Blackburn game. I think everyone had their eyes on it. I certainly watched that. What a game that was! Wolves went 1-0 up within about 10 minutes or so. Um, After that, Blackburn managed to equalise just before half time, and then just after half time, they managed to put another goal in. They put themselves 2-1 up, where they were for the pretty much the remainder of the game until the 93rd minute, where a very tight penalty was called against them. Wolves took Raul Jimenez took it and managed to nail it in there to make it 2-2 and captain off his perfect return to Molineux. But what a game that was. And what a performance from Blackman. Tony Mowbray Blackman off to a flying start, I'd say. They probably should have won that game. Let's be honest. They were a they were a great team. They played really, really well the entire match, but ultimately, very tight penalty, as I say, right on the edge of the box. Personally, from my perspective, I thought it was a penalty, but you can argue whether or not that was a penalty. But for me, clear penalty, and Wolves did manage to nail that. And of course, the other game in the Championship that I predicted was Middlesbrough Lincoln. Once again, completely different to how I thought it was. I think the biggest shock from that match was Lincoln going 1-0 up. I remember reading that on my phone. I was out at kickoff. I remember getting a message on my phone from FootMob saying that Lincoln won the up, and I couldn't believe it because Lincoln, this team that used to be non-league years ago, suddenly won the up against uh, the heavy promotion favourites. That's two heavy relegation favourites. Shocking, two heavy promotion favourites. But ultimately, Middlesbrough did manage to nick it back. Will Lancashire scoring twice to get Middlesbrough back and win the game for Middlesbrough. Take all 3 points. So a short-lived dream for Lincoln there, but a great performance and could potentially be a team to look out for this season. Two very good performances from Blackburn and Lincoln. Um, looking at the other games in the Championship, Bolton beating Preston. That's a massive result for them. A horrific performance from Preston, I've heard out. The last game on that day, of course, was Sheffield United Birmingham. The less you say about the better. I did manage to watch that, but turned off after about 5 minutes because it's honestly one of the most boring bits of football I've ever seen. Watford beating Southampton. That has got a huge result for them. Watford will be ecstatic about that. A credible performance from Watford tips off as Southampton remain 4 points under as for the season currently and rock bottom of the league. But of course, the big match moment in that batch, of course, being Watford's mascot Harry the Hornet, who did a big spying symbol around the fence, around the goalpost. To Southampton fans at halftime. If you haven't seen the video of that, it's hilarious. Look it up. Burnley West Ham's another big talking point from the Championship. Burnley, who were 2-0 down against West Ham, but West Ham bottled it and ended up drawing 2-2 with Burnley. And I think that just shows to West Ham fans what the Championship really can be like. It can be a cruel league, the Championship, but no doubt in my mind, West Ham will manage to pull it back and hopefully get themselves back up into the Premier League. I think I'd like to see them back in the Premier League. They're a team that people like seeing in the Premier League. They're a good side. It would be nice to see them back in the Premier League. Charlton beating Derby. That was another big one this year. This week. Obviously not a particularly big side, but beating Derby, who are quite decently odds favourites to get into the Championship playoffs losing to Charlton is going to be a tough result for them. Other big results. That's pretty much it for the Championship. With big results as we move on to League One. And first of all, let's start by talking about the only prediction that I got right. Notts County 1, Leicester 1. I knew I should have put a bet on for it. And more interestingly, I said Leicester would go 1-0 up fairly quickly for a decent amount of the game, and then Notts County would equalise late. Leicester went 1-0 up in the 62nd minute, which isn't that long, but it's a pretty good place to go 1-0 up in. And Notts County managed to nick it in the 81st minute to draw 1-1 with Notts County. I'm taking that as a massive win. I said it'd happen. Leicester won. I said it'd happen. Leicester won. Notts County won. What a result for Notts County. What a game. What a performance from Notts County. I spoke to my mate who sports Notts County earlier, and he said he thinks that they should have beaten them. I didn't get to watch the match, but I think that just shows, once again, for Leicester, obviously in one of the worst positions they've been in for nearly 15 years. It's going to be a tough season for them. And I think that that match alone proves why. The other result, I said Plymouth would beat Stockport 2-0. They didn't beat Stockport 2-0. They lost 3-1 to Stockport. Stockport surprisingly did quite well in that first match. I thought, considering how good Plymouth look and how good they looked after that Exeter match last week, it was surprising to see Plymouth lose 3-1 to Stockport, who I think are one of the best, or one of the worst positions they've been in since being promoted back to the Football League a few years ago. But beating Plymouth 3-1 is a huge result for them, and something should be very, very proud of. Congratulations to them. A massive win for Stockport. Other result in the Championship, I think one thing I am going to keep doing every week from now on, I'll do this with my Premier predictions as well, is game of the weekend across the whole of the EFL and one across the Premier League as well. The game I thought was the best, as I say, across the whole of the EFL, and I think for me this week, without a doubt, quite clearly, by a million miles, has to be Luton Reading. To put this in perspective, Luton went 1-0 up by James Richards. Then Jack Marriott scored a hat-trick to put Reading 3-1 up. And then Casey Palmer and Kojua managed to score 3 goals between the two of them. To win the game 3-1 for Luton. To win the game 4-3 for Luton, rather. Huge, absolutely huge for them. And a game they should be a result they'll be buzzing for. What a game! What a performance from both teams. Luton 4, Reading 3 is my game of the weekend for the EFL. Other results: Oxford managed to draw 2-2 with MK Dons. I think I heard that was a pretty boring match. Cambridge 3-0 up and ended up winning 3-2 against Wigan. Slightly tough result for them, but one they'll be very proud of. Bromley won their first ever game in League One, beating Barnsley 1-0. Wednesday make a flying return to the third division, beating Leyton Orient 2-1. AFC Wimbledon go rock bottom of the league as they are absolutely battered by Huddersfield 3-0. Huddersfield, who went down to 10 men in the 30th minute. Horrible result for Wimbledon. But I think, and of course, relegation, and an even worse game for Peterborough. The relegation favourites lost 2-0 to Bradford City away, as well as going down to 10 men in the 85th minute. A tough result for them. I think that just sums up what their season's going to be this year. Other big results, it's not many. Really, Blackpool drew 1-1 with Wickham. Mansfield Town managed to beat Doncaster. That's quite a big result for them. Burton 1-1 Stevenage. That is pretty much it for League One. I think it's time we move on to the fourth division of the EFL, League Two. Much like the last two divisions, we'll kick off with the results I predicted. The first result I predicted was that York City would lose 2-1 to Bristol Rovers. It was wrong. It was the other way round. York City beat Bristol Rovers 3-2 in what apparently was another great game. Uh, a great performance from both sides, but I think I didn't put this in my predictions. I should have done. I think York City could be a shock this year. They could be the team that could shock everyone in League Two this year and possibly even push for the playoffs. And I think their performance was proved. They are a side to force to be reckoned with, a good side, and could easily be very good this year. Barnet managed to beat Salford City 3-1. I said it'd be 3-2 to Salford, but I was wrong. Barnet managed to beat Salford City in what will be a huge win for them. Salford, obviously, tough defeat for them to kick off the campaign. What is hoping to be a promotion campaign for them. But as I say, Barnet 3, Salford City 1. A losing start for each of the relegated sides. Port Vale lost 2-0 to Oldham. A big shock result. Port Vale, who normally do quite well in League Two, lost out to the Oldham, who I think very easily could push for playoffs this year. As I say, Bristol haven't ready to go, were they? No, Northampton. Okay, they didn't lose, but they drew with Swindon Town. Rotherham went off to a horror start as they made in their first season in League Two in nearly 20 years, as they lost to Cheltenham 2-1. And who was the other relegated side? And Grimsby beat Exeter 1-0, a huge result for Grimsby, who much like the teams I've mentioned already, are very much going to be pushing for promotion this year. So a great way for start for them. And a horror show for the newly promoted Rochdale, who are now in the relegation spot as they lost 3-0 to Newport County. Belongo scoring in the sixth, getting sent off in the 67th minute as Cameron Gwengi and Bamba managed to get a huge win for Newport County and put the relegation favourites tied top of the championship, tied with of League Two, with Walsall. And that's pretty much it for results in League Two. So, with that, that's pretty much it for this video. I got one result right, and I'm very proud of that. I'm going to hold that for the rest of my life. That I predicted a result once in League Two, and League One even, and I'm very proud of myself. But I will be back at the end of the week with my next lot of predictions, as well as my first Premier League predictions, predicting the entire league of the season. I'm very excited for both of those videos. I will see you lot then. Cheerio.